This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah Simin Chav Zayin, and today we're going to be learning Sif Tess. And again, all the learning has been generously sponsored as an incredible schos of Ruach Shlema V'Chad B'Leah Bas Aradina. Baruch Hashem, we received good news that some of the chemo has been working, but Amir Hashem, all the learning has been sponsored that Amir Hashem V'Chad B'Leah Bas Aradina should have a complete Refuah Shlema Be'Karoiv. We pick it up from Sif Tess, in which the Mechaber teaches us Makayim Hanochas Tefillah Shel Rosh. Where do you put on the Tefillin Shel Rosh? Says the Mechaber Me'ascholas Ikri Aseir, from the beginning of the roots of the hair, Mi Mitzchay of your forehead, Ad Soiv Makim Shemoicha Shaltina Groi face, till the end of the place in which the head of the baby is soft. So right away, let's go into the Mishnah Berurah over here, and then we'll see some dirshus and ultimately, hopefully, a few pictures. Says Mishnah Berurah Sefkatalam Megimel, the place of the Ikri Aseir, the roots of the hair, Pirish, Tebeinei Nechalam Amishu. When the Torah says you place the tefillin beinei necha, between your eyes, doesn't mean literally. Why not? Just like it says you should not place a bald spot between your eyes. And when that pasuk said such, what was it referring to? It was referring to the place of the creating of the bald spot, which is in the head. So to over here, where do you place the tefillin? A place that you could potentially make a bald spot, referring to from the hairline and up. The beginning of the place where the hair grows on the head. And says the Mishnah Berurah, many are nichshal. When they make a mistake, they think that the top part is by the hairline, and it's from the hairline and downward. Why is it Isser Deraisa to call tefillin? Has to be in a place where you could potentially make a bald spot, meaning where you have hair. Even the bottom of the titayra should be munach hamakom aschos ikri seir. So the bottom of the tefillin has to end at the hairline. Someone's hair goes all the way down his forehead. Should not put their tefillin. From the top of the forehead. Says the Mishnah Berurah, shouldn't go mamish till the line. It should be a drop higher than the line. Why? You have a place on your head to put two tefillin back to back. So you don't want it to fall down. So it's better to be a drop further back, because there's a place for two, and if you're only putting one, it should be a drop further back, so that the whole thing is in the right place. If someone puts it on his forehead, that's the place of the cat. That's the minhag of the Karaites. The tzedukah that only other Torah shebiksav, and he's not yotz to the mitzvah. Every baal nefesh, and perhaps those who learning the halach are included in this category, should teach their friends that are not nichshal in this halach. What is a poishi yisrael begufan? What is one that is negligent and a sinner? So karkav tadlo monach tefillin. Pakama bracha v'levatala, and it's even a bracha levatala. The tefillin shebenachal shel b'makam av'kamaracha b'kisa. If you put the tefillin in the wrong place, it's as if they're in the back. Then nish metu b'makam mitzach lachzir and take. If they move away, you got to put it right back. Linian bracha ayin simchafeis. If Yud Beis, which Dirshu will remind us what that meant. Ad seifa makam ratzalemar sheksei mabarta shel tefillin. The edge of the mabarta, the base of the tefillin, leyamunach lamal makam shemachal shel tinik rach should not be higher than the place of the head of the child is soft. Before we go to the dirshus, let's for a moment go over to some beautiful pictures over here, in which we're going to see the correct placement of the tefillin. You see right over here in these pictures, we'll just take this in order. These pictures walk us through that it begins at the edge of the hairline. Over here it's showing us these were the people that wore it underneath, which is inaccurate. It should not just be that the edge is on that line, but rather the entire tefillin should be above the hairline, and as Mishnah Berurah spoke out, you should be a drop higher so that you have room, because you have extra room. And over here it's showing you that it should not even hang down a little bit. Now this was a person that has hair all the way down. It should not go there, rather at the top hairline, and should not hang down even a little bit. Here the Mishnah Berurah is showing you, actually this is really a picture based on the Be'er halacha was this is where the Biur Halacha explains why he does not like for someone to have big tefillin, because the Biur Halacha shows you, and this picture points out, that between your hairline and the middle of your head, that's the place to put in your tefillin. In which the Mishnah Berurah just taught us you have a place to put 2 tefillin. But if your tefillin are too large, what could happen? It could slip out of the wrong place, and that is the sheet of the Mishnah Berurah. Of course, there are different Hasidim, etc., that do have such a minhag, and the ikr would be to make sure they are in the right place. Over here, it's showing you the place of, no, this is already a Sif Yud. While we have the picture in front of us, so let's look at it for 1 second. We're showing you where the kesher of the tefillin is supposed to be placed, which is the back of the skull, which we'll get to in tomorrow's Shir Mirza Hashem. Before we call it a day, let's just see a few beautiful Dirshus. Dirshu over here points out that first of all, just going back from a Dirshu from yesterday, the Mishnah Berurah yesterday talked about taking the Ritzuos and putting it on top of the Tefillin. So Dirshu number 34 points out, but with regard to wrapping up your Tefillin, then the Ritzuos are allowed to be on top of the Tefillin. Dirshu number 35 discusses that has to be at the beginning of the place where your hair grows. Says Dirshu, according to Ois Chaim of Vishalim, what happens if someone does not have any hair over there? You should put the place where most people have hair on the average hairline. And he says we should be a little bit careful to be a little bit higher, but not all the way back. Of course, the place where the head of the baby gets soft. Similarly, he points out if someone loses their hair, Ben Ish Chai, Eretz HaSvi, or point out the place where he had hair originally. And now, Dirshu number 36 points out about having the tefillin in the wrong place. He says that someone mishatzuras gidal cyrus betchilas roisha uloi bekav yashal bigil. Let's say someone's hairline is not straight; it's rounded. So the Mizkeres HaShulchan points out you should make sure that the entire tefillin are behind the hairline, because the fact that tefillin are square, that itself is a lachal mashinai. Whereas the Tshuvat Sir Yaakov Pischei Zuta, they write that no, you need to have a part of it only behind that normal hairline. And this number 37 points out, as we saw in the picture, the Biur Halacha that says we should not have too large tefillin because it could potentially fall down a little bit lower. And we said it has to be from the hairline and above. And someone who has hair on their forehead, the Levushe Mordechai and the Pri Yasada points out, should be dafka in the place where the average person has their hair. And now, finally, Dirshu number 39 points us and reminds us about making the bracha, the shalah that we saw in Tzivkat Memdalid, in Siman Chafei, that what happens if someone's tefillin moves off their place. First, the Mishnah Berurah there said you should, yes, make a bracha, but the shalah said that during tefillah, you don't have to, because during tefillah, the understanding is that someone's das is always on his tefillin, so even if they move out of their place, you do not have to make a new bracha. The Chayadim said you could make a bracha. Mishnah Berurah said it's better to diminish in their brachas, and therefore that is what one should do. One should be careful. Number one, of course, the tefillin do not move from their place, but during davening, you do not make a new bracha. And today we learned the incredible halacha of exactly the placement of the tefillin shel roish, and of course the important detail, like he said, that the Bali Nefesh should remind everyone is from the hairline behind, go up a drop, and that's where the tefillin should be placed.